Okay, welcome back to For the Record here at Law&Crime. I'm Imran Ansari, and we are going to pivot yet again to more legal news. This time, the widow of the late Kobe Bryant is in federal court for a lawsuit against the Los Angeles Sheriff's and Fire Departments. Vanessa Bryant and co-plaintiff Chris Chester are seeking compensation for photos that deputies shared of the remains of the NBA star Gianna Bryant and the 7 others aboard the helicopter that crashed in January of 2020. Chester lost his wife and daughter in the crash. The trial, which began last Wednesday, is expected to last 9 to 10 days. To discuss this, let's bring in Law&Crime senior reporter Meghann Cuniff, who is at the trial. Meghann, what is the latest you can tell us from the courtroom?
It was quite a morning this morning with a retired fire captain named Brian Jordan was up on the stand. He was at the scene the day of the crash, took photos. He's since retired from the fire department. He was basically forced into retirement over controversy over the photos, whether he was told to take them, whether he had any purpose to take them. He was combative on the stand, to say the least. He was his answers were, "Yes, sir. Yes, sir." Very, very much like that. He denied even remembering being at the crash scene. He said he could not remember any photos of the crash scene, couldn't remember taking any photos, but he does remember, and he's very sure that he was told to take photos. There were unbelievable moments in court where he at one point just got up and said, "I need a break right now." It was when he was asked if he had been the one who actually covered Kobe Bryant's body, which it's established in court documents that he was. But he stood up and said, "I need a break. I've got images in my head that I can't have." And he just walked out of the courtroom with his lawyer. I mean, everyone around us kind of agreed that we'd never seen anything like it. And Judge Walter, who has a ton of experience with this and doesn't use kids' gloves with people, let's just say that, he seemed to be, not quite sure how to deal with it aggressively. It was basically just let the guy have a break, and then he came back within a minute. And that happened a couple of times throughout the course of his about 2 hours on the stand through direct and cross. It was really quite something.
Yeah, Meghann, a lot of emotion in that courtroom. We heard about Vanessa Bryant having to leave the courtroom and the trial when certain testimony was elicited about those photographs. And as you described, more emotion in there. How is the defense handling that? Because as on the defense side, that can't be good for them when the jury is seeing all this emotion play out before them. How is the defense handling that? And what do we expect to see as this trial progresses?
Yeah, it's really a disaster for the defense in there, and they are pretty much just trying to ignore the emotional outbursts. I mean, they can't say anything about Vanessa crying or Chris Chester being upset. We don't get any kind of acknowledgement on that. It's basically just keep their eyes on the table and don't kind of draw attention to what's going on. But it really is not a good situation that's playing out for LA County in trial.
And where do you think it's going to go next in trial? What do we have to see?
We have more deputies, and really it's only going to get worse for the county in terms of there are 3 batches of photos. We're hearing about the second batch of photos from Brian Jordan, which is still arguably there's some wiggle room on whether it was, a task for him to take. But there's some room for him to argue that he was instructed to do this, and there's argument there. The next set of photos is going to be from the guy who showed them off at the bar. And the story of how he got those photos is a little more appalling than the others, for sure. His story is that he was there the second day at the crash site, assigned to basically keep looky-loos out, and he ended up going up and taking photos of the bodies. He has not been put on the stand yet, but they did have the coroner testify, and part of the coroner's testimony was to establish that by Tuesday, by the time the deputy who got the photos that he showed off in the bar, by the time he was at the scene, those bodies would have been covered in white sheets. So the other 2 batches of photos were taken the day of. There's debate about whether they were for investigative purposes. The third batch of photos we're going to hear about is pretty bad. So I'm not sure what the defense has in store for that or how they're going to try to cross the deputy. But the attorney for the county even acknowledged this in her opening statement and said it was a lapse in judgment for him to show those at the bar, which she practically admitted liability in the whole case right there. But it'll be interesting to see how they try to minimize his testimony, because I don't see it being very good for them.
All right, Meghann Cuniff, thank you for that excellent reporting. Boots on the ground in the Bryant trial. Thank you for that.